So there was an earthquake and all of my bikes disappeared. Is the hypothetical situation of this video. So I thought, okay, knowing what I know now, if I wanted to buy a new bike from scratch with a limited budget, what bikes would I choose? So I decided to have 3 categories in terms of budget: below 50,000, below 100,000, and below 150,000. Anything above 150,000, all of a sudden, admittedly, your options kinda open up quite a bit. If you are watching this and you are new to cycling and you're looking at this as some sort of guide, please note that the bikes I choose are very specific to how I want to ride. I always say, if you're a new cyclist and you're not sure what kind of bike you want just yet, if there is a bike that you can borrow for free, I would suggest using that first, just to get a sense of what kind of riding you are going to enjoy. Because you don't want to buy a fancy road bike just to discover that you don't like riding on the roads with cars around. But just get whatever bike and just ride it and see what kind of riding you enjoy. Considering how I personally ride, I had some criteria towards the bike. What I wanted was a fast gravel bike, something that can disguise itself as a road bike. So it had to have climbing gears, big enough tire clearance, and could go fast on the flat sections of the road. So basically, I wanted a GRX group set and not 1x, at least a 2x, so I could get all of that in one package. Because the other thing about a GRX group set is that it comes with hydraulic brakes, and I live in a place with a lot of really steep hills, and going up the hill is one thing, and coming down, I want to make sure I can confidently use the brakes. And things that were not important to me personally is I don't care about the weight and I don't care about the frame material. At those price points, I feel like you're better off getting like a high-end aluminum as opposed to a low-end carbon. I think you get more bang for your buck. Let's start at below 50,000. Considering that criteria, I started looking in the internet, and the first bike that I came on was well below 50,000, and admittedly it does not match the criteria, but it is a bike, or the kind of bike that I've always wanted to have. This is a 34,000 peso bike, and it's a fixed gear bike. It's the Project Hi-10 V2 fixed gear single speed built bike. So the obvious problem would be I'd have a really difficult time going up the hills and coincidentally going down. But it looks like a fun bike. I think you can fit a 35mm tire, maybe even a 38mm tire. So it could go off-road in theory. To be honest, I am a sucker for a fun, nice-looking fixed gear bike. I mean, I've been looking at this brand for a while. So it comes with the Project components, WTB thick slick, the Project rims, a wheel set, raw gloss color. So this would be fun to have. Honestly, if I had excess money just lying around, I'd probably buy one just to have it, or upgrade my current fixed gear to have more parts similar to this. Fixed gear, it's fun. But still under the 50,000 peso budget. This was posted very recently. So it is the new Kespor GSX gravel bike, and it comes with a GRX group set. Considering that it's under 50,000, it is currently 48,800 pesos. Aluminum frame, carbon fork, which is nice, and importantly, hydraulic brakes with GRX 400, so it's 2x10. The crank would be 4634, and the cassette would be 1136. And I tried looking around for what people think about this bike, and it seems to be generally well reviewed, so that's nice. Looks like something I would ride, and it looks like something that fits the criteria. What I'm looking at specifically was posted by Gab's Bike Manila. The Kespor comes with WTB Resolute tubeless tire 700 by 42, so really good value on the Kespor, honestly. I feel like the Kespor GSX kinda rivals the bike that's next in my list. Interesting. Okay, before we move on, I'm gonna come back, grab a cup of coffee. Whenever I'm working, I like to have a cup of coffee. I usually just head down to the kitchen and make myself a quick cup. But whenever I run out of beans, which is often... Okay, ran out of coffee. I'm gonna order online. I just head over to curve.coffee. It's the Curve Coffee Collaborators website. I pick out the coffee I like and have it delivered straight to my home. Easy peasy, good coffee at my convenience. Thanks Curve for sponsoring the vlog. Next on the list are bikes under 100,000, and I was looking around and honestly I couldn't find anything that beats the value from getting a Giant Revolt 1 2022. Like, I'm here at the Lifecycle Bicycle Shop website, and for the price, you're getting a pretty good bike. It's Giant, so it's a brand that is very known and loved and tested by a million people, so you know the geometry is really good. You're getting an aluminum frame, carbon fork. You have the GRX group set, except the front derailleur is Tiagra, GRX 400 2x10. The crank set is 4832 and the cassette is 1134, so you have the climbing gears, you can go fast on the road. It does come with Giant Crosscut A2 AT2 700x38C tires, tubeless. I don't trust those tires. I would switch out the tires. And the Giant Revolt has that classic look, that classic Giant gravel look. It looks good. You can even fit tires up to 53 mm, which is huge. So even the Giant Revolt 1 has a flip chip. Interesting. Okay. I think one of the differences when you go to like a brand like Giant compared to, let's say, a Kespor, Giant as a brand has earned a lot more confidence over time than a Kespor, for example, because if I was on the fence on both bikes, I would love to be able to talk to somebody who has a Kespor, because on paper it looks good, but what's tricky is how does it feel when you actually ride it? And that's the question mark with the Kespor, because with the Giant, if I wanted to know how a Giant Revolt 1 rode, there would be so many videos online about it. And if you search for the Kespor GSX, kind of difficult to say. A lot of videos come out, most of it are bike checks. And I'm sure I'd have to put a lot of time in and look at each and every video. And I'm sure there's somebody talking about how it rides. Nothing against the Kespor. For all I know, it rides really well. I just need some certainty. But if I only had 50,000 pesos as a budget, I would buy the Kespor right away. Because if I had about 100, I would get the Giant Revolt, use the extra money, maybe get a bike fit, maybe get better tires. Definitely get better tires. So next category, if I had 150,000 pesos to spend, what bike would I get? Again, I looked around and I landed on the Giant Revolt Advance 2. I think the big difference between this and the one is that this is a carbon frame, carbon fork, but GRX 600, so it's 2x11, so better components, hydraulic brakes, of course. It still comes with this Giant Crosscut AT1 700x38 tubeless. I would get rid of that. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing the tires are not good. If I didn't like the tires, I would bin them right away and just get new ones. The WTB Panaracer or the Kenda. Really enjoying the current Kendas. Again, I would just use the extra money on the tires and the bike fit. So that's it. So if there was an earthquake and there was a hole in the ground where all of my bikes fell in that I could never get back, and I wanted a bike right away, those would be the bikes that I would get at this very moment. If I had more time to choose, I would look at Facebook Marketplace. A lot of people have been posting pretty good deals lately on bikes.